How's it going, everybody? It's Prod here, and today a brand new patch for Nightreign just dropped, and it's one that I actually feel like I had to make a video on because it has some significant, pretty damn awesome changes for characters. Now, unfortunately, no new bosses, no new weapons like we've been hoping for. I really thought we would have gotten something new in terms of like some of the DLC weapons, but at this point, I don't know. At this point, I'm not entirely sure, but for now, let's go over what we got. So to start off, a couple of massive changes for some of the Nightfarers. So first one up, Duchess adjusted the visibility of the Phantom when Duchess's skill restage is triggered. So nothing too big for her, just a little bit of a visual change, but big buffs for Guardian. Increased damage negation for physical and various elemental attacks. Increased guard boost when guarding, which I thought that he did need an increased boost. I used him a little bit in a video recently, and honestly, he's just a little bit too weak sometimes, but it looks like they're going to be changing it up so that his guarding actually becomes a lot more useful, which is good because I definitely think he needed it, especially for like Deep of Night and some of the scarier hard mode bosses. And our boy Raider finally getting some love. Increased the speed of various attacks, including dual wield and jumping attacks. Adjusted the movement distance of some attacks when using weapons of the Great Axe, Great Hammers, Colossal Weapons, basically anything he's good with that is big and strength, which is good because honestly, dual wielding big colossal weapons is my favorite thing to do with him. And we actually now get a new ability, a new passive ability for Raider, Fighter's Resolve. It's a essentially red tier stone ring. Increases attack power for a certain period when HP is significantly reduced. I often get into a lot of situations with Raider, especially when I'm being like bombarded by a bunch of attacks and I end up using his ability that almost always ends up getting you that last little bit of HP or to save you. So now that attack will be much stronger, and you'll have, I have no idea how long because, well, the update literally just dropped like a minute or two ago, but I'm sure within the next hour everybody will be able to figure it out, and I'll be playing it tonight, by the way. And we also got expanded the attack range when activating the ultimate art Totem Stella, so now you'll have an even bigger range with the giant block of cinder. Revenant also got some nice buffs, which is good for all Revenant users. I know there's a few of you out there, like the three of you. Increase the attack power of special attacks performed by summoned spirits when Revenant's ultimate art Immortal March is triggered with active summoned spirits. So essentially, you guys know when Sebastian shoots the giant beam of light out of his eye, that's now going to be much stronger. And this is a big change as well because I've heard that this could be so annoying. Increase the attack power and damage negation of summoned spirits through skill Summon Spirit in the Deep of Night mode, scaling with depth level of expeditions. So now when you're higher, depth 4, depth 5, depth 3, those spirits are going to be strong, which is good because I know a lot of people like playing with her, especially, you know, her faith stuff can be incredibly useful. So now they won't be detriments and they'll actually be pretty useful. And now the biggest, in my opinion, buffs of all comes to Executor, having a whole giant paragraph worth of buffs, which we're going to go off real quick. Increase the attack power of crits with the Cursed Sword character skill whenever it's active. Increase the guard boost while the Cursed Sword is active. Increase the stagger damage upon successful deflections while the Cursed Sword is active. Reduce stamina reduction upon successful deflections with the Cursed Sword. Running out of stamina after a successful deflection no longer results in a guard break. Now this would have been something I honestly would have really liked to see on the Guardian as well, because I felt like it was happening to me all the time when I was playing it. But it's cool that you no longer just get guard broken whenever you run out of stamina, even with a successful deflect. Now I'd assume it probably just gives you a second and you can maybe try to get out of the way, or hopefully have a little bit of the stamina recover so you can, you know, take another hit and then get away. Changed the specifications to apply the effects of improved skill attack power and improved melee attack power to weapon arts while the Cursed Sword skill is active. So this is something I haven't really experienced myself, but I heard that a lot of people were abusing specific things with this, so I'm assuming they're probably nerfing something that a lot of executors were using recently. Increased the attack power of attacks except for Roar, while the ultimate art aspect of the Crucible is active. Now I think this is the biggest change right here. Increased damage negation when performing the L2 skill attack while the ultimate art aspect of the Crucible transformation is active, and added a short window where it is not possible to become critically wounded even if your HP reaches 0. If your HP reaches 0 during the skill's activation, you will end the transformation with 1 HP remaining. That is a huge change. You guys know how many goddamn times I've died in that dog form like an idiot, running in there trying to use my last final attack and then getting staggered to death, instantly coming out of it down like a dumbass. Now that is something that has changed. You will now get out of it and just have 1 HP, which is beautiful. I always thought that's how it should have been, but hey, at least we finally have it, right? Increase the power scaling of attacks, except for Roar, in accordance with depth level. So now your actual attacks as a doggy are going to be much stronger in the Deep of Night, which is good. Again, it's something that was necessary because Executor, it was almost like a detriment to go into dog form in the higher depths in Deep of Night. So I'm glad that was changed because that was super necessary. Scholar adjusted the distance criteria that affect the progress rate against large enemies in skill analysis. So now I'd assume that bigger enemies, you don't have to be so close for it to go a lot faster. Now you can be a little bit further away because they are so big, and it'll still go with the same progress rate to fill up the bar to use your analyze skill. Undertaker adjusted the movement distance of some attacks against stationary targets when using weapons of the hammer category. So just improving her moveset all around whenever she's using a hammer. Couple of big relic adjustments as well. The burn damage caused by Wilder art activation spreads fire and area relic effect now increases the art gauge. So I'd assume this is whenever you're actually getting damage with the fire, it starts to build up your art gauge again. I would assume that it would be at least a pretty nice chunk, considering you're doing continuous fire damage for like solid 5-6 seconds. So that is a nice change. Increase the effect of the HP recovery from successful guarding relic. Honestly, it seems like they kind of want people to start using a lot more Executor, a lot more Guardian, which is pretty fucking cool, especially since I just played Guardian, was ass with him, and then all of a sudden this comes out. Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe they were watching the stream, watching me be ass, and we can't have everybody being ass like this, so we gotta buff that shit. So I'm gonna have to try Executor and Guardian again. Increase the effect of the draw enemies' attention while guarding Relic, which is fantastic because sometimes I do think it's a little bit too weak because it needs to be stronger, right? You need to have more of a gravitational pull if you're gonna waste a whole slot just to have this on whenever you have a Guardian. So now you actually truly do become a tank, especially with the new buffs that they did for Guardian. Increase the power of shockwaves generated by the Guardian's successful guards send out shockwaves while the ability is active. Beautiful. Increase the effect of defeating enemies near Totem Stellar restores HP. That might be really nice now, especially with the buffs to his totem that they gave him. Increase the effect of improved poise near Totem. Increase the effects of Executor while character skill is active. Unlocking use of Cursed Sword restores HP. That might be really, really nice now. Again, lots of buffs for Executor, man. They're Executor, Raider, Guardian, they're going up on the list. Renamed and modified the Executor character skill boosts attack power, but attacking drains HP, to character skill boosts attack power but lowers damage negation while attacking. So they actually changed the way this works. So no longer do you actually have a draining HP, you just straight up have lower damage negation, which honestly makes it way better. And it increased the amount that it actually boosts your attack power. So overall, really good buff to that relic. Increase the healing effect duration of his slowly restores HP upon ability activation for the Executor, which is good. Increase the effects of the Undertaker attack power increased by landing the final blow of a chain attack, which is nice because I remember using that and not feeling like it was really all that much stronger, like maybe like, again, like 10-20 extra damage. So now maybe that might be a nice little big bump. Increase the effect of the Undertaker physical attacks boosted while assist effect from incantation is active for self. That could be interesting. I, for her, have not really found anything that increased, or sorry, that was like an incantation buff just yet. So maybe I'll have to pop it on and try to run a couple games and see how it is. Decrease the effects of successive attacks, boost attack power, relic effect. I had a feeling that was coming. Decrease the effects of the improved bow attack power and improved attack power with 3+ bows equipped relic effect. So a little bit of a nerf for Iron Eye. But again, man, Iron Eye has kind of gone unchecked for quite a while, and it's not too bad. I'd imagine it probably wouldn't be too bad. But it does say this addresses an intended bug where the increased effect of improved attack power and improved attack power with 3+ equipped relic in patch 1.3 were mistakenly applied to bow weapon category. Oh, okay, I see. So it was actually not even intended to be part of the bows. Interesting. A few adjustment to equipment and sorceries. Distance related drop-offs is now applied to status ailment accumulation, ultimate art gauge charging, and near death gauge depletion when attacking down allies for attacks that take in account damage drop-offs such as ranged weapons. Change the primary sorcery of the rotten crystal staff from shattering crystal to crystal release. Oh, that is a big nerf for a lot. Listen, I know the amount of duchesses that just run around looking for that crystal rotten stat to get shattering crystal is gonna be harder now. You guys are gonna have to put in some real work to find that shattering crystal. I'd imagine it wouldn't be too crazy, but increase the FP consumption of shattering crystal sorcery, increases the FP consumption of beast claw incantation. They want to nerf a couple big things that a lot of people are using to get higher into depth real easily. Adjusted the visibility of effects of sorceries and incants, reduced the reduced maximum HP effect of the primal glintstone blade, which is good because nobody uses this shit, because the maximum HP that reduces is ridiculous. So if it's like 10%, more people I think would probably pick it up and use it, but at the moment it's so much that it's just not useful. But who knows, I guess we'll have to see and find it and hopefully see if it's a lot better. Reduce the impaired damage negation effect of the Crucible Feather Talisman. Again, another one that most people do not use, but could be useful. So we'll see how those go. Field adjustment. Fire pots and throwing knives now have a maximum amount that can be bought in shop. So no more unlimited fire pots and unlimited throwing knives, which is a big nerf to Scholar, to be honest. Like, I will say Scholar's pretty good, but in general, the reason he's so good is because of some stuff like this. It kind of disappointing to see that, to be honest. In my opinion, they would just make them a little more expensive rather than giving them a maximum amount that can be bought. But I also don't know how much is a maximum amount now. Increase the number of night invaders that appear when the Marsh Key location experiences cataclysms. Interesting. Adjusted the number of some enemies appearing in the Blacksmith Village Key location, which again, that's interesting because would it be less or more? Because there's a shit ton of enemies there. I'd imagine it would be less, probably. Decrease the attack power of some enemies appearing in Blacksmith Village. Okay, so straight up Blacksmith Village, they were like, no, they're too powerful in there, which is good. So it looks like it's probably going to be less if I'm taking this into consideration. Decrease attack power as well, especially in the Deep of Night. So this is specifically for the Deep of Night. Decrease attack power. Increase the amount of runes obtained by defeating some enemies in the Marsh and Blacksmith Village. I think it's because they're realizing not a lot of people are going there. A lot of people are probably sticking to the locations they know and not really feeling it's too worth it going to like some of the new poison swamps, some of the new blacksmith villages. So it makes sense giving you an opportunity, like increase the probability of rare weapons and items appearing in some treasure chests in the Marsh and Blacksmith Village. So we're definitely going to have to check those out next time I play. Adjusted the spawn rate of special shops in the Great Hollow, which is good because he's so rare you barely see him. And that's nice because I bet a lot of people didn't even know that there's a guy in the who has a shop in the Great Hollow that literally sells legendary weapons. Increase the effects of Beast Hunt, a special ability obtained in the Tricephalos raid event to fully restore stamina for surrounding allies during continuous attacks. That's beautiful because, again, I've said it a million times, the Tricephalos raid is so annoying because the ability that you get is just so not worth it, and it takes so long, and it always takes 5 minutes to get done and ruins every plan you have. So now it seems to get a little bit of a buff. It still needs more. Oh, wait, there's more here. Decrease the continuous damage received by player characters during the Tricephalos raid event, so you no longer take as much fire damage. Adjusted the visibility during Tricephalos raid. Adjusted the visibility during the Fissure in the Fog raid as well. Maybe they watched the clip of me dying to gravity like an idiot because I was surrounded by snow everywhere. Decrease the falling hail damage during the Fissure of the Fog in the Deep of Night mode. Which, yeah, I understand that, because honestly, one of those things hit you in the head. It was like it hit you in real life. Like, that's how fucking hard it would be. Like a 10-pound massive hail hitting you in the head in real life. That's what it felt like. Adjusted the number of enemies entering the charm state at some points during the Balancer's Raid events. I've only gotten that Balancer's Raid once. Decrease the amount of attack power boosts for enemies in the charm state during Balancer's Raid events. So, a little bit of a nerf for the Balancers. I guess we'll see how good that is. And for the final of the little adjustments, we have adjusted the appearance rates of the target bosses, key locations, and shifting earths added in the DLC Forsaken Hollows. This adjustment applies to expeditions when matched only with players who also own the DLC. Now, when it comes to the bug fixes, there seem to be a bunch, right? But when it comes to the bug fixes, I would say, if you guys want to pause, because there's quite a few of them, right? There's quite a few of them. There's a couple interesting ones, like adding icons for specific special effects, switching weapons boosts attack power, so now you know when these run out, which I always think these are always good. You know, improved damage negation at full HP. Whenever that runs out, you end up getting a little icon that either appears or disappears, which is good, because it can be kind of hard to know when those things are active. Fix bugs with some attack hitboxes with weapon arts like Waves of Darkness, Eruption, Lightning Slash, a couple of these. So if you guys really want to get a good read out of these, feel free to pause. But overall, really good changes. I think this is one of the better actual patches that they've had for this game, which is fantastic. Of course, I'll be live on YouTube and on Twitch. So if you guys see me live, feel free to come in, ask me how things are, and if I've been using them for long enough, I will tell you guys how they're doing, how they're performing. Anyways, thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, I like it very much appreciated. See you all in the next stream where I could showcase off a little bit more of this. Anyways, have yourselves a good one. Bye-bye.